I'm Lauren Whitehurst. I'm a certified personal trainer and certified nutrition coach.
Hi, I'm Sunni Lippincott. I'm a certified professional life coach and a certified brain health professional. And together we make Whole Life Vitality.
We teach whole life vitality of the mind, body, and soul, bringing the physical, emotional, and spiritual together for whole life wellness. Welcome back, friends.
Welcome.
How's it going, Sunny?
It's good. How are you?
It's good.
It's good.
It's good. Do you know why it's good, guys? Because this is the second podcast that we filmed today. We already filmed one. And so it's like we get all the cobwebs shook out, in the first one.
You got momentum.
Yeah, right?
I got the momentum.
Objects in motion tend to stay in motion. Yeah. Objects at rest tend to stay at rest.
Yeah.
I try to tell my children that. I'm like, so get up and move.
Yeah. Get out of bed.
You know what happens when I say that?
They get up and move?
A lot of eye rolling. They move their eyeballs.
Something moves?
They move their eyeballs. Yeah, that's what happens.
Oh,
super
so
fun.
funny.
Super fun. So Sunny, what do you want to talk to us about today?
Okay. So I have a husband.
Me too.
I have a husband. Just going to throw that out there.
Yeah, just so you know, in case you're wondering.
In case you're wondering. Who is like the kindest soul.
Agreed.
But there's something about Nathan that it's always gotten to me. When we're at the grocery store, or I can give you so many examples, but I'm just going to give you the grocery store. We're at the grocery store and someone hits him with a cart. Do you know what he says?
Who's playing bumper cars with the
I'm
carts?
telling you, people...
What is
Don't
happening?
go to Walmart. Stay out.
It's so funny. I was about to ask you if it happened at Walmart.
It's always at Walmart.
It's like, do they intentionally make the aisles not wide enough for something? It's
people
weird.
just go there angry.
Maybe they go there to play bumper cars with the carts.
But do you know what he says?
Oh,
I'm sorry.
wait. What? Hang on.
I'm sorry. I said,
What are you sorry for?
they hit you. I'm sorry. And so this has been a common theme with Nathan. Like, if, say he gets, he orders something and they bring him the wrong order, he will say, excuse me. He said, I'm sorry, but this isn't what I ordered. And I said, again, why are you apologizing?
You're like,
you didn't do it.
are you sorry that you didn't order it? You're like, I'm so sorry. I should have ordered this one to begin with. You're right. I'm wrong. This is the better choice. Thank you so much for correcting my mistake.
Do you know how many times he apologizes in a day for things that are not in any way, shape, or form his fault?
That could be a drinking game.
I'm telling you. I found this so fascinating. And so I started researching over apologizing.
Oh, okay. So I think I was probably a teenager the first time that I recognized this happening with someone. And she was a girl who was around my own age. And every time she opened her mouth, she was apologizing every single time. And so finally I looked at her and I did not know that I was so snarky and sarcastic. I did not know that. Okay. Apparently it's just the language I speak. Okay. But I looked at her and I was like, are you sorry you exist?
Yeah.
I'm sorry I exist. I'm sorry that I'm here. I'm sorry that I have these clothes on. I'm sorry that I have this hair. And she looks at me and she just starts laughing. She's like, oh, yeah, I guess I do apologize a lot. And I'm like, what are you sorry for?
Yes. And it's not just, Nathan is closest to me, so I used him as an example, but this even happens in my friendships.
Yeah.
Where my friends will need to talk about something and then afterwards apologize for talking to me about it. And I said, why are you apologizing? Well, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I said, why are you apologizing? I'm sorry. Stop it.
No, I'm sorry for being sorry. You know, what I've most commonly heard, though, is when a friend apologizes like that, they usually follow it with, well, I apologize for putting this on you or burdening you with this. And so I usually reply with, I have really good boundaries. And if I didn't have the space or the capacity for this conversation and to be here for you right now, I wouldn't be. Yes. So you don't need to apologize for showing up as you are.
Thank you. Thank you. Over apologizing. So interesting. It's an interesting topic. Do you struggle with this? Are you thinking to yourself, I do all of those things?
Has it ever been you? Have you ever found yourself doing that? Or is that just not in your personality anywhere?
Those that know me, I definitely, if you put me next to my husband, as far as patience and kindness and lovingness goes, I'm a lot further down than Nate
We
is.
all have our spiritual
So
gifts.
if someone hits me with their cart, my first response is not, I'm sorry. My first response is typically written on my face. Like,
But have you ever been that way?
oh, I can definitely say that there are
more-
times I have apologized for something that I'm like, why did I apologize for
like
that?
a younger, less confident, more timid version of yourself.
I've been guilty of doing it. I don't think that it is for me a struggle where it is chronic.
Yeah.
I chronically over apologize for things. And that probably is because I've done in the past, 5 years, so much work, mental work and mindset training, and to recognize
Yeah.
what I'm saying. And that's just, I'm usually very, in tune with what I'm saying. Do I say things wrong still? Yes.
Oh, all the time.
But now,
I'm sorry, not you.
Yeah,
Sorry.
no, that's
me.
accurate. That's accurate. You could have left it there. It's accurate. You
not
know
trying
me
to
pretty
call you
well.
out.
You know me pretty well. But I recognize it within myself. So I know when I'm saying crap to myself, even if I don't stop myself from saying it, I
Right.
know that I'm saying it.
Yeah. I think in my less confident years, when
Yeah.
I honestly was like, kind of felt like I'm sorry for existing. It
Right.
was almost like that. It felt like everywhere I went, I was a burden on anyone,
Yeah.
or it's like I was apologizing for showing up.
Yes, for having the space.
Right. Yeah.
So it is typically a trauma response.
Yep.
A survival mechanism. You make yourself small and cause as few problems as possible to keep yourself safe or to keep the peace. So if you were raised in a household or in a relationship that was volatile, then this is a trauma response that you learned that if I just quickly, apologize, then that, just kind of the fuse is.
My husband came to me this week and said, "It is not your job to make sure that every person in the house is happy all the time. It is not your job to make sure that I'm happy or that our teenage daughter is happy or that everyone is emotionally regulating all the time. It is not your job." And I'm like, "Are you sure?"
Yeah. Are you sure? It really feels like it is.
I think maybe it is.
I'm wearing a lot of hats right now. So that's typically what's behind it. But why? Number one, low self-esteem.
Yeah.
You may apologize and seek approval for others. Reassurance. You're reassurance seeking when you have, apologizing. Low
Interesting.
self-esteem.
So it just comes from that constant need for validation.
Yes.
Like, I'm sorry that I exist. Oh, no. It's a good thing that
Yes.
you exist.
I love talking to you.
Yeah.
That type of thing.
Yeah.
To avoid conflict.
Yep.
You try to tone down anger or disagreements or resentment.
Yeah.
So again, going back to, the trauma response, if it was very volatile, then it's easier for you just to, I'm sorry, before anyone gets angry.
Okay, so coming from a place, because I was raised in kind of a more traumatic environment, for lack of a better term. We've talked about it before. And then that need to apologize or need to fix situations or need for validation or whatever was very deeply ingrained.
Yeah.
And usually when it comes to things where there's any kind of conflict, my first response is, what did I do wrong and what do I need to apologize for?
Absolutely.
And so then how do you figure out the difference between a genuine apology and the trauma response?
That's really, really good question. And honestly, are you doing it from fear?
Sometimes.
I think that would be the answer.
Yeah.
There. Like, what is causing, is it an actual remorse Do you feel sorry for an actual remorse, or are you just sorry for fear of a reaction?
Yeah, it's like, I'm sorry that you responded this way. And so then I'm going to apologize because I want to change your response.
Yes, I want your response to change.
Yeah, I want to somehow affect the situation, affect change in the situation, and make it better for everyone.
Yes.
And I'm willing to sacrifice myself to make that happen.
So I guess the answer would be from, on which one is which. If it's genuine or a trauma response, are you doing inward work?
Yeah.
So you feel actual remorse for what happened, or are you controlling the other person's responses?
I think at this point in my existence, it's probably probably both. I think it goes back and forth. I don't think it's not fully one side or the other, because that trauma response still creeps in. And so I want to be genuine in all the things that I say and do, but sometimes what you're genuinely feeling is the trauma response.
Yeah.
And
So
that's what comes out.
And that's what comes out. And I guess that's how you tell the difference.
Yeah.
Like, is this in me and I feel actual sadness?
Or is it fear?
Or am I trying to make the other person feel a certain way?
Yeah. Huh. I like that.
People pleasing. You want to be liked and you want to avoid upsetting others. This is founded on the faulty mindset that other people's needs are always more important than your own.
What is it you were saying about that circle,
Yeah,
Sunny?
the
About the
circle of
circle.
control.
It's funny. I do a lot of virtual coaching.
Yeah.
Right, on FaceTime or Zoom or whatever. And every time I make that circle with my hands, the computer does, like, FaceTime does these emojis, and so it sends hearts out from my hands. It, like, turns the hands into hearts. And
I kind of love that.
I know. And so
kinda love that.
I'm like, look, here's your circle of control. And then it starts sending out hearts from inside it. And I'm like, that might be the best thing I've ever
I'm
seen.
like, okay, I'm reevaluating. They always like, what kind of superpower would you like? I would love to throw hearts at people.
Oh my gosh, it's like if your Care Bear stare was, like, in your hands and hearts went flying out of your
That was the best. Care Bear stare. Oh, please tell me you're from the 80s if you're
Right.
listening to this, because Care Bears before they messed them up.
Oh my gosh, yes.
The OG Care Bears.
The OG Care Bears, they were so fun. I wasn't allowed to watch that growing up. I snuck it. I was such a rebel. Wasn't allowed to watch it because it had magic in it.
Yeah, there's a lot that
There was some weird stuff that went down in the 80s, guys.
Yeah.
If you're a product of the 80s, I want to know what kind of weird stuff, what kind of weird rules did your parents have in the 80s? That's what I want to know.
there were so many things
So
my
many
husband
things.
wasn't allowed to watch. and
Right?
I watched them.
Oh, you're such a rebel.
I know. So people pleasing.
People pleasing.
All right. So over apologizing. And we always give like a link to what this, like why this is bad. We have kind of this, this theme with our podcast. Like this is what we're experiencing, but this is what it does in your body.
Right.
And this is what you can do to work on it.
Yeah, this is why you don't want to keep doing what you're doing, and this
So
is
we
how
don't
you
just
can
want to
change.
say, hey, are you, this is a thing. I do want you to know it's doing actual damage
Right.
to you. So it's linked to anxiety. Have you
Right.
ever noticed that people that apologize a lot are very nervous people?
I want to know why everything is linked to anxiety and low immune system.
Yeah.
That's what I want to know. Those
Anxiety.
two things, I swear to you, it's like everything we talk about comes back to, well, it's going to make you feel anxious.
Yeah. And I don't even need to tell you everything that anxiety does to your body, because
Oh, gosh.
we have talked about it so much.
We
And
have.
you know this because either yourself, someone you love, or someone you know suffers from chronic anxiety.
Because it's so prominent.
It is so prominent in today's culture. And this is not just an adult problem anymore. This is eking into teens and tweens and children.
Well, and what's crazy is I know people who are in their 40s and 50s and 60s, and they're watching these children get diagnosed with anxiety disorder, their grandchildren or whatever. And then they come to me and they say, well, they're just making stuff up. They're just trying to medicate these children. They're just telling them that they have problems that they don't actually have. And I'm like, well, okay, you know what? Maybe we don't need to medicate for everything with small children right away. Like there's obviously a time and a place, but it's real. Because the world they're growing up in is vastly different than the world that was a reality 50 years ago.
Yes, they're actually experiencing these things, and the things that they have that are in front of them all the time is actually exasperating anxiety. Phones and iPads and YouTubes and TikToks and all of the things.
My number one complaint as a parent is that I despise managing all the technology in our lives. Because you have to, as a parent, you have to manage everything for everybody so that they don't lose their minds. Because
and it's chronic mom guilt because you never feel like you're doing it adequately.
But children cannot self-regulate with electronic devices, and we shouldn't expect them to. They cannot. Their prefrontal cortex does not have that ability yet.
So listen to us, whomever the powers that be, shut them all off at a certain point. Okay, let's say everyone go. Go technology free from 8 p.m. until 8.
Can you imagine if that actually happened? If everything turned off, we would think it was like a post-apocalyptic situation. We'd be like, no, what happened?
I think we'd get real smart.
Ooh, yeah, maybe. At least sleep more.
Yeah, lots of things that actually make us feel better. Okay, so linked to anxiety, linked to depression. Because again, that's what people pleasing does. You put other people before you put yourself, which I understand that's a touchy subject because, we're not supposed to edify ourselves, But listen.
You have to fill your own cup first.
I am talking about when you are chronically making sure that everyone else is taken care of and you do it to the expense of yourself. Yes. You run yourself ragged to make sure that everyone's okay. Yeah. So that is linked to depression. It's not good. It's not good.
And resentment.
And then perfectionism. So you are holding yourself to an impossible standard. That is linked to over apologizing. Well, I should be this and I should be that. And I'm sorry that I'm not this and I'm sorry that I can't be that. And
if there's one thing that Hannah Montana taught us, it's that nobody's perfect.
Nobody's perfect.
Nobody's perfect. Come on, guys.
Oh, man. Oh,
Hannah. And what is it? I was just telling you this morning, the thing that all of the villains in all the movies have in common is that they come across as perfect.
Yes.
And that's what makes them so unlikable. That makes it so distasteful, that thing that you're like, you cannot trust them. They walk in and they're just perfect. They have everything. Maybe they have the fun accent and
the used car salesman. They just seem
slimy. Yeah. You're like, too much. It's too much.
So steps that you can take when you are a chronic over apologizer. What I want you to do, and this we've talked about the pause, power in the pause, but pause and reflect before responding, because this is your automatic response to what is happening, is that you want to say, I'm sorry. So pause. If someone runs you over with their cart, instead of saying, I'm so sorry, be like,
take a break.
Just take a break.
And it disrupts the cycle.
Yes.
It's like puts a glitch into that automatic response.
Yes. And then it allows that person to say, I am so sorry for doing that. It's okay.
When you apologize for other people's mistakes, you feed other people's entitlement, which we don't want to do either.
No, absolutely not. Don't take that on.
Yeah, that's not yours to carry.
And so when you want to, you've talked to your friend and you want to immediately say, I'm so sorry, that I pause and reflect before you respond. And I'm going to give you some examples of what you can do to practice this right now.
All right.
Because this is rephrase your response. Okay.
So rephrase it.
Okay. Rephrase your response.
Okay.
Turn your statement into gratitude.
Ooh, I like this.
You know what my favorite thing is in the whole wide world, Lauren?
Tell me.
It's gratitude.
It's
gratitude. Okay. So how we're going to learn about how to, instead of saying, I'm sorry, how to say thank you.
Yeah. Gratitude conquers so many things.
It's just wonderful.
It just rewrites so much.
So instead of sorry for bothering you, thank you for your time.
Absolutely.
Do you feel the difference?
Ugh.
Just try that. Just say that aloud.
Just look at how the face shapes that you make when you say sorry for bothering you and thank you for your time.
Yes.
Like there's the downturn of the mouth, the lowering of the eyes when you say I'm sorry for bothering you, and the upturn of the mouth and the brightening of the
Yes.
eyes when you say thank you. Like
Yes.
it changes everything. Your
Everything.
countenance, the energy in the room, the interaction between you and someone else.
Have you ever been late for something?
Hey,
Okay.
why are you calling me out, Sunny?
Well, especially for my husband, being late, he's got a thing. If you're on time, you're late.
Yep.
My husband has to be early. Okay. He's got to be early. So being late is just about like detrimental for him. Well, what happens when he is already late? Everything just starts like it's just true
Panic.
turmoil within his body. And he gets there and it's, I'm so sorry. And da, 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 da. So sorry, I'm late. Instead, thank you for your patience.
Thanks for waiting.
Thank you for your patience.
Oh, thanks for showing up. So good to see you.
Have you ever messed up something?
Me?
Yeah.
Me?
Have you ever messed up something?
Please.
Have you ever made a mistake?
Only every day? Probably.
Sorry, I made a mistake.
Yeah.
Because it makes yourself feel like you can even
Yeah. The weight
someone
of that.
says, "Hey," because it's very hard. Those perfectionist people to even point out that something was because they will take that on. Say, "Hey, this right here, it should have been this." And like, "I'm sorry, I messed up."
Yeah.
Instead of that, say, "Thank you for pointing that out. I'll correct it."
Yeah.
Do you see the difference?
Thank you so much for letting me know.
This one is a big one.
Okay.
Have you ever had to decline an invitation?
Oof. Yeah. Girl, that is so painful.
How many people can just say, or
No,
just
thank
say,
you.
yeah, no. You say, "I'm so sorry that I
Yeah.
can't make it." And then you
Yeah.
write them like 6, paragraphs about what all is going on and why you can't make it.
Let me tell you about my mom and my friends and my family and my kids and the things that are going on and my health and the doctor's appointment and what's going on with the dog. And let me tell you all the things so that maybe I can feel okay about me telling you no. It's selfish, guys. It's selfish.
I won't be able to make it, but I appreciate the
Yeah.
invite.
Thank you so much for the invitation. Thank you so much for thinking of me.
And this one, you write, like, or you write out something to your friend, or you're on the phone with your friend. You're like, "I'm so sorry if none of this makes sense."
Oh my gosh, that one right there.
Or an email.
That's the one. That is the one that I struggle with the most because I'm like, I know it's silly, but I will tell you, I kind of take it personally. I'm like, you think that I can't follow your train of thought? You think that I'm incapable of understanding the words? You understanding the words coming out of my mouth? Like,
Thank you for your time. Let me know if any of this is unclear.
yeah.
That's
Yep.
sorry I'm taking up so much time. Thank you for listening.
Man, I did not realize how much these bugged me until you're sitting here saying all of them. And I'm like,
Thank you for listening. Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you for your understanding.
Yeah. I feel like when you apologize for stuff like that, it kind of undermines the other person's own personal boundaries.
Yes.
Because like I made a choice to be here. I made a choice to exist in this space with you, to have this conversation with you, to share with you in whichever way that I am. And then you're apologizing for it kind of makes it seem like it takes that away from me. I chose to be here. You didn't force me to be here. So don't take that.
Right. Exactly. So the one kind of leads into the other. It kind of is automatic when you're an over apologizer. You just tend to go that way because of these things, because of the low self-esteem, because of the tendency to avoid conflict, that because you want to control the other person's reactions. So first and foremost, pause and reflect. Think about how you can rephrase this and turn it into a gratitude. So I'm so sorry that you had to listen to all that. Instead, pause, reflect, and say, thank you for being here for me right now. I really appreciate that.
A friend asked for feedback on something a project that she had worked on. And I really struggled with giving feedback because I wanted to be constructive.
Yeah.
And I really wanted to say something positive, but I also really wanted to help give her direction so that she could grow. And I wrote it and rewrote it because I didn't want to apologize.
Yeah.
I didn't want to apologize. I'm like, I don't need to say I'm sorry because I'm giving her what she asked for. And I know that this is helpful, but it's so painful.
It's going to feel uncomfortable at first, but everything is when you first do it.
Yep.
Everything is uncomfortable in the beginning.
Yep.
And then as you continue, it becomes less and less of something that you're forcing yourself to do, and it's going to feel more natural.
Yeah, more habitual.
Yes.
The habit of apologizing for everything will just turn into the habit of being grateful.
Being grateful for everything.
Yeah.
Gratitude. Man,
So awesome.
it
Pass
just
it on.
fixes everything.
Yeah, right?
Just fixes everything.
I'm beginning to think that's true.
I'm telling you.
I feel like it is the magic pill. Like just hand out doses of gratitude everywhere you go.
Yes. Have you thanked God today? How you doing? I feel crappy. Have you thanked God today?
I was coaching this girl years and years ago. I think I've told this story before, and who was kind of struggling in her relationship. And I told her, for the next week, your homework is 3 times a day. Tell your spouse something that you love about him and say thank you for something.
Yeah.
3 times a day. I said it might freak him out at first, but by the time she came back to me the next week, she's like, you won't believe what happened.
Bet I do.
I know. She's like, my relationship is like 180 from where it was a week ago. And I'm like, yeah, that's true.
I'm telling you. It's
Gratitude,
so good.
man,
It's so good.
makes all the difference. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Sunny, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That's fantastic.
Thank you for being here.
Right?
Thank you for sharing. Thank you for listening.
Right? Guys, okay, like, subscribe, follow, give us your comments. Let us know. If you think this gratitude thing is stupid, that's okay. You don't have to apologize for that. You can tell us. We're here for it. You can tell us. We like the good, the bad, and the ugly when it comes to feedback.
I'm gonna tell you though, you come at me with anti-gratitude, I got a lot of stuff in my arsenal.
Right?
I got a lot. So you better do some extensive research if you fight me on gratitude, because I'm telling you, I got it. I can combat it.
Although I do love those comments that are just like, I disagree. And I'm like, that's okay, buddy.
I know. You know what?
That's okay.
Thank you for showing up.
Yeah, it's okay to disagree. Thank you.
Those are
for
my
being
best.
here.
Because you weren't unkind. You weren't mean.
Yeah.
You just stopped by to say, hey, I listen. I disagree.
And I disagree.
Okay.
And I'm like,
thank you.
that's all right. I want to
Thank
hear
you.
what you think about the next thing. Do you disagree with that one too?
Thank you for being a listener.
That's right. That's right. Make sure that you follow us on all the social media platforms. You can find us under Whole Life Vitality, where we drop content every single day. And then tune in here every week for new podcasts.
Yeah.
We'll see you next time, friends.
Bye, guys.
Bye.